Yo, what is up, my friends? Welcome back into the podcast. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. Guys, today I'm going to be giving you my running back rankings for week 8 of the fantasy football season, and I am going to get right into it, guys. But if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. And if you do enjoy my content today, make sure to give me a thumbs up, as likes help my channel tremendously. All right, guys, I am going to dive straight into my number one, and that is Dalvin Cook against the Dallas Cowboys. Guys, the Dallas Cowboys just got gashed by Damien Harris and the New England Patriots. Do you really think they're going to have an answer for Dalvin Cook and the Minnesota Vikings? I don't think so. Dalvin Cook is going to run all over these boys. Look for 150-plus total yards of offense from Dalvin Cook. He's probably going to get in the end zone a couple of times. Guys, this is going to be a very high-scoring game, and we know that no matter how the game plays out, Dalvin Cook is kind of immune to game script dependency. I mean, it doesn't matter if the Vikings are up by 3 touchdowns or down by 3 touchdowns. They're just going to keep feeding Dalvin Cook the rock. This is what they do. They're obsessed with getting Dalvin Cook his touches, and they're going to do so every week. This is a guy that's a candidate every week for 30-plus total touches and always has a chance to go off for like 200 freaking yards of total offense. This dude's one of the best players in fantasy football when he's actually healthy, and he's my number 1 for the week. My number 2 for the week is going to be Derrick Henry, guys. Derrick Henry against the Colts. Guys, nobody could stop Derrick Henry so far this year. I knew that he was going to have a good season, but I'm very surprised at how good he's actually been. But this guy is clearly one of the best running backs, if not in the entire NFL. So he's absolutely matchup proof every week, and you're starting him without hesitation. He's my number 2 for the week. My number 3 for the week is going to be Austin Eckler, guys. Austin Eckler is the best dual threat running back in the entire NFL. It's not even close. Look, guys, Austin Eckler is basically a wide receiver and a running back at the same time. I mean, this dude is seeing 6.5 targets per game since having that week 1 where he strangely didn't see any targets. But since then, 6.5 targets a game. They complete passes to him at a very high efficiency, and he's getting the red zone usage. That was the concern going into the year, was that, hey, Austin Eckler is going to get his touches inside the 5-yard line, 10-yard line taken up by Roundtree or some of the other backups. Guys, they're using this guy in the red zone like a true running back 1. He's getting all the high-value touches, and was a very, very good offense led by Justin Herbert. And this dude's upside from week to week is absolutely tremendous. He has an outside shot of finishing as the number 1 running back in fantasy football, and it wouldn't surprise me too much if he did so. This dude's an automatic play every week. He's my number 3 for the week. My number 4 for the week is going to be Ezekiel Elliott against the Minnesota Vikings. Guys, this is going to be a very high-scoring game. Ezekiel Elliott's really starting to find his stride. He is the number 4 running back in all of fantasy football, despite the Cowboys already having their bye week. This is very impressive. He's in one of the best offenses in the league, so his chance every week of getting in the end zone is tremendously high. He's one of the best running backs in the league as far as a talent standpoint, running behind an elite offensive line. And make no mistake, guys, Zeke has not lost a step. Don't let anybody try to tell you that Zeke isn't as good as 2016 Zeke. Zeke is just as good as he's ever freaking been in his career. He's running straight through brick walls, and you don't want to be in his way right now. He is my number 4 for the week. My number 5 for the week is going to be Joe Mixon against the New York Jets. Guys, the New York Jets have no chance in the world of stopping Joe Mixon in this game. Guys, before Joe Mixon went down with his injury this year, he was the number 3 rushing running back in all of fantasy football. And all of a sudden, he misses a few games, has a few games where he's splitting carries with Samaje Perine, and people just forget about Joe Mixon, guys. Joe Mixon is one of the best running backs in this league. We've seen how efficient the Bengals offense is, and trust me, this is not a split backfield between Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine, guys. The talent difference between these two is just too great for this to be a split backfield. The reason it's been a split backfield the past 2 games is strictly because of load management. They wanted to ease Joe Mixon back into his injury. Look, this guy had a major injury last year that he's coming back from. He got hurt already this year, so obviously they're not going to rush him back to having 20 to 25 carries a game right off the bat. But it's been a few weeks now, and he should be able to go back to his full workload in Week 8, so start him with confidence against the Jets team that's not going to be able to stop him. My number 6 is going to be Alvin Kamara against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Guys, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a pretty darn good run defense, but it's not the number 1 run defense in football. It's definitely up there in like the top 5 run defenses in football, but they're not as good as everyone likes to give them credit for. And look, guys, Alvin Kamara is seeing more volume than he's ever seen in his career. This dude has had 20 plus rushing attempts in 4 different games this year, guys. Alvin Kamara does not get 20 plus rushing attempts. This is a very new thing, exclusive to this 2021 season. And now over the past 2 games, we've seen him get 19 targets in the past 2 games, guys. This guy is now returning to also being the pass catching running back that he was in his early career in the NFL. The beginning of this year was the first time that Alvin Kamara wasn't seeing true Alvin Kamara passing volume. And over the past 2 weeks, we've seen him get 8 targets and 11 targets in the last 2 games. This guy is now the biggest volume hog that he's ever been in his entire career. He's seeing the work in the rushing game and the passing game. This dude could end up being the number 1 running back in fantasy, guys. Start him with confidence. Don't worry about the matchup. My number 7 is going to be Aaron Jones against the Arizona Cardinals, guys. I see people ranking Aaron Jones around the 12, 13, 15, 14, 15 spot in their running back rankings, guys. This is absolutely insane. Guys, when Devontae Adams doesn't play, just look at the history of what Aaron Jones does to defenses when he is the number 1 focal point of the offense, guys. This is one of the best running backs in the entire NFL. The Packers have never really given him the rushing volume that he truly deserves, but even with that being the case, he's in a very, very good offense, so his touchdown upside more than makes up for his lack of volume. He's a dual threat back that sees, a healthy workload in the rushing game despite not getting the amount of touches he should get, and he still gets, a healthy workload out of the backfield. He'll see tonight. I wouldn't be so surprised if he saw 8+ targets because it's going to be a high-scoring game against the Cardinals. So look for Aaron Jones to be a beast and give you tremendous fantasy numbers this week. My number 8 is going to be Naja Harris against the Cleveland Browns, guys. Najee Harris is the biggest volume hog running back in football, guys. I mean, even more so than Derrick Henry. I mean, this dude is seeing 22+ carries a week, and there's weeks where he sees more than 10 targets out of the backfield. When you're talking about dual threat, overall number of touches, this dude is the biggest volume hog running back in football. I would have him in my top 3 every week, but I just am not very big on the Steelers' offense. I think their offense sucks. And so his scoring upside is a little bit limited. Hasn't had a multiple touchdown game yet from what I remember. And so I just don't trust him to be a top 5 running back yet because his offense kind of holds him back. But the dude's a beast. My number 9 for the week is going to be Jonathan Taylor against the Tennessee Titans. Guys, Jonathan Taylor's really starting to find his stride. He is the number 2 running back in fantasy football right now. This is one of the more talented running backs in the league. And Carson Wentz is playing really well. So the overall efficiency of the Colts offense is way better than it was to start the year. So look, his touchdown opportunity and upside is there now as well. So all the boxes are checked for this dude to be a fantasy beast. He's my number 9 for the week. My number 10 is going to be Nick Chubb against Pittsburgh. Guys, Nick Chubb is coming back from an injury. That's the only reason I don't have him higher than number 10. I see this being kind of a split backfield type of deal in this game with Ernest Johnson because we saw that Ernest Johnson can run very efficiently, and they don't want to rush Nick Chubb back and get him injured right away. So his volume will probably be a little bit down in this game from what it normally is, but it's still Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the league, running behind the great offensive line. So start him this week with confidence. My number 11 on the week is going to be Deandre Swift, guys. Deandre Swift is literally challenging Austin Eckler for being the heaviest receiving threat out of the backfield on any NFL offense. I mean, this dude is seeing 10+ targets out of the backfield in a lot of weeks, and he's still getting a relatively healthy workload as far as his carries. He's seeing like 13 or 14 carries in most weeks. This is not really a very good Lions offense, but the touchdown upside is still there for him because the entire offense runs through DeAndre Swift. So start him this week with confidence. My number 12 is going to be James Robinson against the Seattle Seahawks. Guys, the Seattle Seahawks have had a bad defense this year. The Jacksonville Jaguars figured out, hey, if we want to move the ball, we can't just rely on our first-round draft pick, Trevor Lawrence. James Robinson is the biggest weapon on this entire offense by a long shot. Guys, James Robinson is going to be fed the rock, and his fantasy numbers are going to continue to be like they've been in the past 3 or 4 weeks. This dude's got touchdown upside. He's got high yardage potential in every single game because he's just a really good running back, all right? James Robinson's my number 12. My number 13 is going to be Leonard Fournette. Guys, Leonard Fournette is getting way more volume in the Tampa Bay offense than we thought he would going into the year. He has absolutely no competition for touches with Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones missed that block that got Tom Brady lit up early in the year, fumbled the ball a few times, and really just lost respect of the Tampa Bay coaching staff. And now it's the all Leonard Fournette show in Tampa. He's a high-volume running back now and a very good offense, so the touchdown upside is tremendous. And Leonard Fournette is my number 13 for the week against the New Orleans Saints. My number 14 is going to be Daryl Henderson against the Houston Texans. Guys, Daryl Henderson hasn't had a 100-yard rushing game this year. That's really my only quarrel with him. But he does get at least a little bit of work out of the backfield as far as pass catching, and that makes up for him not really having true workhorse volume in the rushing game. So he's still getting pretty healthy workload in what's a very good Rams offense. So start him this week with confidence against the Texans. Guys, the Texans suck. They're not going to have an answer for Daryl Henderson. My number 15 is going to be Elijah Mitchell against the Chicago Bears. Guys, Elijah Mitchell looked really good in this past game. Granted, all his production was on pretty much the first drive of the game, but look, when they feed this dude the ball, he produces. With Jimmy Garoppolo playing quarterback, Elijah Mitchell is going to see a big-time uptick in rushing opportunity because whenever Trey Lance was playing, a lot of the rushing attempts went to Trey Lance. He was just running the ball. So with Jimmy G at quarterback, Elijah Mitchell is going to have a very healthy workload, and he's going to produce you good fantasy numbers. My number 16 is going to be Trouba Hubbard against the Atlanta Falcons, guys. The Atlanta Falcons have a very bad run defense. Trouba Hubbard is still getting really good volume. I mean, like, obviously he doesn't see Christian McCaffrey volume, but nobody sees Christian McCaffrey volume besides Christian McCaffrey. But he's giving you about maybe 60% of the production that Christian McCaffrey gets you, and that's still pretty darn good. He's seeing a healthy workload as far as both carries and receptions out of the backfield. So start him this week with confidence against the Falcons defense that's really bad at defending running backs. Number 17 is Earnest Johnson, guys. I'm not going to have Earnest Johnson that much lower than I have Nick Chubb because I think this is going to be a split backfield with Nick Chubb coming back from his injury. Look for Earnest Johnson to have a lot of carries against Pittsburgh, and the scoring upside is obviously there in the Browns offense. So he's my number 17 for the week. My number 18 for the week is going to be Damien Harris against the Los Angeles Chargers, guys. Damien Harris has had 2 really good weeks in a row. I don't like him as much this week against the Chargers because it's just a really stingy run defense. I don't think Damien Harris is that great. I just think he's exploited some really juicy matchups lately, but he's good enough to crack my top 20. My number 19 is going to be Kenneth Gainwell against the Detroit Lions, guys. The Detroit Lions have one of the worst run defenses in the entire NFL, if not the worst run defense in the entire league. And Kenneth Gainwell is going to have a big opportunity this week with Miles Sanders most likely being out. I could see him definitely getting in the end zone, and on his absolute, highest potential in this game, he might score a couple touchdowns because they're probably going to be playing with the lead against Detroit, and I think Kenneth Gainwell is going to have a good game because of this. My number 20 is going to be Cordaro Patterson against Carolina, guys. Cordaro Patterson, I'm sold on him at this point. This dude's been consistent from week to week. He's now getting 14-plus rushing attempts in the past 2 games, seeing a ton of work of passing out of the backfield. And the Falcons' offense is much improved, guys. They're scoring a lot more. They're just a much improved offense from where they were at the beginning of the year, very much due to Cordaro Patterson and his emergence in the offense. So start him with confidence against the Carolina Panthers. Moving on to my number 21, it's going to be Zach Moss against the Miami Dolphins, guys. Zach Moss is part of a really good offense in the Buffalo Bills, maybe the best offense in the entire league. Playing against the Miami Dolphins team that just can't stop the run to save their life. Look for Zach Moss to run all over these boys. He's probably going to get in the end zone like he does in most weeks, so I'm starting him with confidence. My number 22 is going to be Alex Collins against Jacksonville. Didn't produce really good numbers last week, but I think they figured out that they're probably going to need to pass the ball a little bit if they want to move the ball instead of just running Alex Collins on every single play. I think this bodes well for Alex Collins because he's actually going to have an opportunity to score some touchdowns against a Jaguars defense that's pretty average against the run. So look for Alex Collins to have a bounce back week this week. Number 23 is Antonio Gibson. Guys, I'm really frustrated with Antonio Gibson right now. He's clearly still injured, not 100% from his shin injury. I almost want to put J.D. McKissic ahead of him in the rankings, but I'm not going to do that quite yet. He's my number 23 for the week. My number 24 for the week is going to be Khalil Herbert against San Francisco. Guys, Khalil Herbert's been really good. The volume's been there. The talent looks like it's there. I'm not too sold on him yet overall. I need to see a little bit more from him first. And he's playing against a stingy San Francisco defense, but he's good enough to crack my top 25. Rounding out my list is going to be Daryl Williams against the New York Giants. Guys, Daryl Williams is the product of a very good Kansas City Chiefs offense. They're going to have a lead in this game, so look for him to have heavy rushing volume and probably get in the end zone. So he's my number 25. All right, guys, those are my running back rankings for Week 8. I hope this video helped you guys assess value in these running backs this week so you can know how to set your lineups. And look, it's Week 8. We're pretty much approaching the almost halfway point of the NFL season, definitely the halfway point of the regular season for fantasy football. So it's the home stretch, guys. You got to make these lineup decisions and be as accurate as possible. So I hope this video helped. Guys, I really appreciate doing this so far, and you guys have a good day.